Natural disasters can strike at any time, and they can be so powerful that individuals caught in their path have little or no option for escape. Tidal waves, in particular, can be destructive, wreak havoc, and kill people across large distances. In this video, we will take a look at the world's greatest waves and swells, the 10 of them especially. But first, please take a moment to like and subscribe to this channel. Number 10. Askja Volcano, 2014. The Askja volcano, located in Iceland's central highlands, is one of the country's largest volcanoes, standing at 4,900 feet. Next to it is the most Cuban lake, which was formed in a crater. It was left by an eruption in 1875. In July of 2014, a massive tsunami struck the area. The lake itself is Iceland's second deepest, reaching depths of about 716 feet. When the volcano launched a massive rock slide, there was plenty of water to interrupt it. The swell reportedly rose more than 1.5 miles across the lake to the opposite shore, where it rose more than 260 feet. It wasn't just the size of the wave that was incredible in the air before it crashed down upon the coast, but also its speed. When it hit the ground, it was going at almost 60 miles per hour, and it had demolished everything in its path. During the summer, the lake is a popular tourist destination. Hundreds of people had gathered there earlier in the day. It was pure coincidence that the tsunami struck about midnight. Number 9. Spirit Lake, Washington, 1980. Spirit Lake is located just north of Mount St. Helens in Washington state and was formed before the 1980 eruption of the volcano. It was a popular tourist destination with some luxurious lodges lining the river's banks. However, on March 28 that year, the area was struck by an earthquake which sparked volcanic activity. Only 2 months later, another eruption occurred. The avalanche was so powerful that the entire north face of the mountain fell, making it the greatest known debris avalanche in history. In one of the largest mega tsunamis on record, a substantial piece of it dropped right into Spirit Lake. A series of surges raced across the lake, with waves reaching 150 feet above the normal water level at points. The two catastrophes utterly wrecked the surrounding environment, with the pyroclastic surge of the eruption destroying the tree line above the tsunami's reach. Those below the surface of the water were washed away and carried into the lake. Needless to say, every structure in the path of the wave or eruption was utterly demolished and several people died as a result. Number 8. Alaska, 1964. The Great Alaskan Earthquake struck South Central Alaska early on March 27, 1964, with a magnitude of 9.2 and a duration of 4 minutes and 30 seconds. The earthquake opened up 600 miles of shoreline at the time, and it caused massive devastation all around the state. But the worst was yet to come in many respects. The earthquake created a succession of tsunamis, one of which was caused directly by tectonic activity and up to 20 or more, caused by underwater landslides. A 27-foot tsunami was responsible for the destruction of Geneva and the deaths of 23 people, while another 220-foot tall wave swept over the bay. Number 7. Onsen, Japan, 1792. Tsunamis are fortunately not very common, and there have only been a few mega tsunamis in the last few centuries. One of the most catastrophic ones occurred in Japan. A sequence of earthquakes prompted an eruption which caused the mountain to erupt and then partially collapse. The debris nearly entirely wrecked Shimabara and continued till it was deposited at Ariake Bay. The massive amount of material that entered the water and media triggered a huge tidal wave that was 187 feet tall at its peak. To make matters worse, it bounced off the other side and returned to strike what was left of Shimabara after crossing the bay. The entire death toll was estimated to be around 15,000 people, with 5,000 believed to have been killed in the landslide. Another 5,000 were believed to have died in the super tsunami that carried across the bay, and another 5,000 believed to have died when the wave returned and hit Shimabara for the second time. Number 6. Lovenet Lake, Norway, 1936. Lovenet Lake is a mountain lake located in Vassline County, Norway. It's the kind of breathtaking scenery you'd expect from hilly terrain. It gets into water from melting snow and ice the nearby mountains, and has long been a popular tourist destination. What makes it appear to be such a peaceful place is also what makes it incredibly deadly. At 2 separate times, the lake has produced gigantic tsunamis. A landslide from 1,600 feet threw 460,000 cubic yards of rubble into the ocean in January 1905. This resulted in 3 tsunamis measuring up to 133 feet in height. These crossed the lake and destroyed 2 local towns, killing 61 people, or half of the population, as well as most houses, 261 farm animals, and even releasing a fishing boat over 1,000 feet inland. Later, geologists surveyed the area and found that the risk of it reoccurring was minimal. As a result, everything was redeveloped, although this didn't last long, as another landslide, this time from a height of 2,600 feet, spilled 1.3 million cubic yards of material into the lake, and this resulted in a 243-foot-high tsunami. It once again destroyed all the buildings in the neighborhood, killing 74 people, and not surprisingly, very few people have chosen to call this place home since then. Number 5. Disenchantment Bay, Alaska. Between the mouth of Russell Fjord and the head of Yakutat Bay in Alaska is Disenchantment Bay, a 10-mile length of water. It was named after a Spanish adventurer who entered it in the hopes of passing via the Northwest Passage, but was disappointed when he discovered it was a dead end. It is surrounded by glaciers and large sheets of ice, and it is not uncommon for these to break off and fall into the water supply. However, an unusually large piece dropped into the bidding trigger, and an extraordinary mega tsunami and an overhanging glacier, now known as the Fallen Glacier, separated from a larger ice sheet that slid through the Valley Donald 1,000-foot steep slope into the bay. When it finally hit the ocean, it cleared a half-mile wide strip of vegetation as it passed through, creating a massive channel. At that moment, no one was present, so the destruction could not be used to estimate the wave's size. However, tree branches within half a mile were broken, and water's normal level of vegetation 3 miles away was affected. Number 4. Sea of the Marmara in 1994. The Sea of the Marmara is a Turkish inland sea that connects to the Black Sea and the surrounding areas. It's been vital for trade in the region for a long time, and there are several communities along its coast. It does, however, lie above the North Anatolian Fault tectonic line. In recent years, this has been extremely active. Things reached a pinnacle in 1999 when the fall caused 2 earthquakes, the first of which killed 17,000 people in Izmir. The magnitude of 7.6 earthquakes breached the fault for 93 miles, directly affecting the Marmara Sea. This resulted in a large tsunami that was up to 10 feet taller than usual sea levels. However, the peculiar underwater topography of the location is due to the flat ground surrounding the lake. This was more than enough to do a lot of harm. The wave itself killed 155 people and prompted hundreds more to flee because of the danger of it repeating. Number 3. Indonesia, 2004. The 2004 tsunami in the Indian Ocean was far from the most powerful or largest tsunami in recent memory. However, because of its affected such a large population, it was by far the deadliest and most catastrophic in modern history. A massive underwater megathrust earthquake with a magnitude of 9.3 struck off the coast of Indonesia on the morning of December 26th. This action generated a series of tsunamis, one of which was 100 feet tall and slammed into coastal settlements all across the world. Towns and villages in Indonesia, Sri Lanka, India, and Thailand were especially affected because there was no early warning system in place. There was almost no time to flee. This is one of the factors that contributed to such a high death toll. The tsunamis are thought to have killed up to 228,000 people and displaced countless others. According to studies, the waves contain energy equivalent to about 5 megatons of TNT, which is more than the total utilized during World War II, even when nuclear weapons are included. The waves were so large that they reached more than a mile in some areas. Number 2. The Krakatoa eruption. This eruption traveled so far over the water that South Africa, which is 5,000 miles away from the Krakatoa explosion, detected and measured a 5-foot swell. Krakatoa is one of the most well-known volcanoes on the planet thanks to its 1883 eruption, which was heard all around the world. One of the most catastrophic volcanic occurrences ever documented, it devastated 70% of the island around the mountain. The impact was heard more than 3,000 miles distant, and the shockwave it generated traveled 4 times around the world. Nearly 35,000 individuals were killed as a result of the eruption. Number 1. Lituya Bay, Alaska. You've most likely never heard of Alaska's Lituya Bay. After all, it's in a rural part of the state, with few people living close to it. It was, however, the site of the largest known tsunami in recent times, and the catastrophe compelled us to reconsider our knowledge of how enormous waves arise. It started on July 9th when a magnitude 7.8 earthquake struck the Fairweather Fault, causing a landslide that dumped 40 million cubic yards of rubble into the bay's small inlet, weighing roughly 90 million tons. The impact was heard up to 50 miles distant and it generated a massive water displacement. The resultant wave was estimated to be between 70 and 120 feet tall. The peculiar geology of the environment is likely to have contributed to the wave's initial magnitude of roughly 100 feet, but it continued to grow in size as it moved down the lake. Further investigation of the lake bed revealed significantly more silt than originally assumed, implying that the landslide may have released the second discharge of debris from a neighboring glacier, releasing far more energy than previously thought. It's a good thing no one lived near the bay, since this wave would have destroyed anything it came into contact with, because it was produced by a landslide. There was no warning until it was too late. No other wave known to have been anything near the scale, or perhaps most worryingly, something similar might very easily happen again. Thank you for watching until the end, and please remember to like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.